real quick, this is not going to be included in the video technically, but I do carry a tripod with me, but I'm going to be using that to hold my phone / camera up while I do the video. But I do carry this in my bag at all times. Alrighty. So, like I said earlier, right now I have a quite exceptionally large gym bag. You can't see it in the camera frame, but it is right at my feet. I'm going to lift it up. It's big. So big, as a matter of fact, that in a video that's going to be on the top right corner of this video, I actually have a short where I managed to fit my friend in here and made it look like I carried him into the gym. So today, this bag, while it is a great bag, and I got it for a great price, 40 bucks, excuse me, on Amazon, the issue is it has ripped and torn in a couple of places when I'm like quickly grabbing it and trying to pick it up haphazardly. So I thought, why not turn this little bit of a unfortunate event where I gotta stitch my gym bag back together into an event where I can show you what's inside my gym bag of a powerlifter, but not just any powerlifter. I'm a both raw, classic raw, and starting to become equipped, at least in single ply at the moment, powerlifter. So, quick little backstory. The raw lifting is where the only supportive piece of equipment you're using are knee sleeves, a belt, and wrist straps, and a singlet, all of which I have in here. Classic raw lifting is where you use all of the above, but you swap out the knee sleeves for knee wraps, hence why it's called classic raw. This was back in the days where there weren't such things as stiff sleeves, and you had to switch with knee wraps. And then equipped lifting is where you have a little bit more pieces of lifting equipment, namely the squat suit, the bench shirt, and the deadlift suit. Nonetheless, let's get started. I'm going to have a quick swig before because I've been talking a lot, but there is a lot of stuff in here. Not just stuff I used to lift with, but stuff I have used and no longer use, aka trash. There are a few crumpled, smashed up cans of energy drinks in here just because I respect the gym I train at, and I would much rather throw an empty piece of trash in my bag and just throw it out later than throw it out in my gym when the if there's no trash cans around me, or if said trash cans are full. I'd much rather just put it away later than litter in my gym. If you litter in your gym, you don't respect it, you shouldn't train there. Anyway, so this is the first piece. Got a few pieces of trash in here, but I do have some other pieces of equipment that I do train with. Those are currently in my truck. I have one pair of stiff sleeves from Iron Rebel. They are the Iron Rebel PR sleeves that are cone shaped. I have those currently in my truck since I'm not using them in training. I also have the Strength Shop Ergo sleeves that are also stiff. Those are both sitting in my truck. I don't have them in my bag at the moment because they do take up a lot of space, and while my bag is big enough to hold them, it can be a little bit of a pain in the butt to continuously move a piece of equipment that I'm not really using. Because like I said, at the moment, I'm training for classic raw and equipped, and that is knee wrap only. I do have a pair of knee sleeves, which is the first thing I grab. These are a pair of soft knee sleeves, so they are made of neoprene. They're from Iron Rebel. They are the Iron Rebel, what are these called? There's a specific name for them, but they're not the PR sleeves, and they're not I think they're called the Pro sleeves, but they are HD, not the HD. I forget the exact name of it, I always do, but they're just a softer form of neoprene that offers a little bit of support, but mostly warmth, and they help me with the movement and just making sure my knees stay healthy. This is what they look like on the outside. This is what they look like on the inside. I'm gonna set this aside. Next up on my list is what I actually use for my knees, and that is my knee wraps. That can oftentimes be unraveled in my gym bag, but these come in pairs. I use the Inzer Atomic knee wrap, which is a very stiff material. When it comes to knee wraps, the reason I prefer these is because of the fact that if you look on the inside, these little white strips, these are actually rubber. So when you wrap them and they grip, there's no slipping of any kind, neither on your skin nor on the wrap themselves when you're getting ready to lift, which causes it to be a lot stiffer throughout the lift, and there's no slipping, which for some other wrap materials you can experience that, which is why a lot of people who use wraps will oftentimes chalk their knees. But yeah, those are my knee wraps. Moving on for that, we're going to stay on the route of wraps. I have 2 pairs of wrist wraps, one from Iron Rebel that I personally use for squatting, and then Overkill strength wraps, which I use for benching. The reason I like the ones for benching is because they're slightly shorter, and they're made of a much grippier material because the guy who owns it, Rudy Rosales, he worked under a guy named Mark Franz, who was an old school OG powerlifter, and he made a material that was very thick and made of a tough canvas, so it's very stretchy. But it's not just stretchy, it's a material that also almost eats into the skin. So it has a very great bandage-like effect that causes your entire wrist to lock into place. And I won't show you this right now, but this actually does cause my wrists to callus up a little bit because of the fact that they are so stiff. But the main reason why I like Overkill specifically is how they set up their wrist wraps. So if you look, there's actually 4 areas of Velcro on this entire wrap, and you'll notice no thumb loop. That's because, personally, I don't like thumb loops in general, and because thumb loops are illegal, so if I ever have a thumb loop, I'll cut it off. But these didn't come with one. These have a single piece of Velcro here and here, so when I set the wrap where I want to set it, I can get it tight, and now it's not completely wrapped, but it's stuck in place, and my hands are completely off. And then I can wrap it like so, and now my wrist wraps are set. So that's why I love Overkill's thumb loopless wrist wraps. And for benching, I can usually get away with using a shorter wrap because I don't really need it to be that stiff. But for squatting, I prefer a slightly longer wrist strap, which is actually why at the moment I use my Iron Rebel, which are the Iron Rebel Black Outlaws. And like I said, with these, they're a material that can sometimes slip. So I do oftentimes chalk either the wrap itself or my wrists because of the fact that if I'm sweating, it'll slip a little bit. And I've had to cut the thumb loop off of this. But if you're an intro powerlifter, intermediate powerlifter, or even an advanced powerlifter, you can use this material and it will do you a lot of wonders. Next up, this one, I'm just staying on the wraps for now. This one is not a wrap I use in competition, nor do I ever really use it in training. I got it just out of curiosity, but I do carry a pair of PR elbow wraps. This is just to help with benching, to get a little bit more out of the hole. The only thing I will say is this. If you count the bench press you did in elbow wraps as your raw bench, no, it is not. I don't say that what I can squat in knee wraps is what I can squat in sleeves, because it's not. I've actually squatted more in sleeves than wraps because I haven't been squatting in wraps for that long. But like I said, with elbow wraps, it's not the same as benching with no wraps at all. So I just carry these because they're fun to have on an occasional day where I just want to go a little all out. Oh, and I do have one more thing. On this side, I also carry a pair of Elite FTS elbow sleeves. These ones I actually use a little more often in training, specifically on what I call my fluff and buff day, which is just a day where if I'm, say, in the cold, or if I'm just trying to get a little more strength while I'm pushing it on my shoulder and arm days, or on my pressing days, I'll wear these not on my bench, but on my pressing accessories, just to keep my elbows a little less fatigued when I'm training. But I don't often pull these out. I pull these out more oftentimes in the winter. But that pretty much does it for the wraps and sleeves. There's not really a whole lot of others I can really go over, so I'm going to go over the rest of the equipment. Next up, I have what every powerlifter should have at all times, and that is the lifting belt. I have carried this. This belt has been with me for a while. You can see it's well stickered with both my coaches, gyms I've trained at, my company, On Repeat Sports, and just a few other local stores near my place. That's one's a tattoo shop, and the other one's a cookie shop I like to go to. And on the inside, if you look here, it has my totals, not just what I've hit, but also what I'm trying to hit in training. So that is my SBD belt. It's a bit of an expensive one, but it is one that will last you. And for those of you curious, it's a 13 millimeter in a size extra large. I actually really lucked out because when I needed a new belt, I was told by a lot of friends that's really hard to get an SBD belt, but they had just done a restock when I went online for it. And I emailed them saying that I was about to compete in 2 weeks, and if there was any way they could expedite the shipping process. They got this belt to me in 2 days, when some of my friends have said they waited months to get an SBD belt because of the fact that it took forever to restock. So I'm forever very thankful to SBD for their belts. Next up on the list is going to be some important pieces, or the most important piece of equipment I carry in my gym at all times, whether I'm at in my gym bag at all times, whether I'm at a commercial gym or a powerlifting gym, and that is my barbell collars. These are from the company Lockjaw. I actually have a discount code for it, link in bio, and I really appreciate them sending me these because of the fact that they are durable, they're stiff, and they lock in place, hence the name, and they will not let weights slip. I've seen so many weights slip off of bars. I've had poor collars slip off when I was lifting, when I was benching, squatting, or deadlifting, and just seeing the damage it can potentially cause really does scare me at times. So I always want to make sure I have these just so they don't slip off. Got a few more cans. As you can see, as a powerlifter, I love my energy drinks, so you're going to be finding a couple more of those more than likely. But on the topic of energy, I do have a few tubs of pre-workout that I carry in my bag. I think everyone should carry their pre-workout in their bag if they're gonna try and carry it in their house or trying to carry it in their car. It can sometimes not be there when you need it. So I always carry it at all times. My main one is the one I'm supported by, which is Edge of Insanity by Psychopharma. All their products are top level. And if you ever need any of their products, you can use my link in bio for a discount code. I do have one that is not from Psychopharma. It's from Black Magic. The reason I have this one is actually because I work at a supplement shop, and I occasionally get some good supplements that I want to try. This one's a limited edition one of their pre-workouts that called Pumps and Roses. Not a bad flavor. I just don't know if you can get it online. I'm not associated with Black Magic. I just work at a supplement shop. Next up on the list are going to be some things that help me with bench pressing. First thing is going to be my slingshot. So I actually got this from a buddy of mine. He gave this to me because he doesn't really use it often. I don't use it too often in training unless I'm trying to do what's called a lightened method top set, which is where you do your top set raw and then you add some weight to it and you use supportive equipment. If you're benching, this is a great way to do that, just so you can feel some heavier weight, but it's not exactly necessary, and sometimes I just use this for fun. Next up, this one is coming out of a little bit of a phase that a lot of powerlifters have, because a lot of times when powerlifters are at commercial gyms or just normal gyms and the bench pad gets really slippery, a lot of times their backs slip. And if you're pressing a lot, pushing yourself back into the bench to try to get the most amount of leg drive possible, sometimes you need to get this. This is just a little non-slip counter pad. I got it on Amazon for like 10 bucks. I actually didn't originally get it for benching. I got it for something totally different. But when my friend was telling me about this oven pad thing you put on a bench, and I thought, I don't really want to buy that. I thought about it, and I remembered I carried this, so I actually grabbed it from what I was originally using it for, which I think was for like a little stationary recumbent bike, dorm room recumbent bike, and I put it in my gym bag, and I've used it, and it works great. Moving on from there, we're going to be going over my next piece of support, a couple other pieces of supportive equipment, and this is for my equipped lifting. So, technically you can qualify the slingshot as something I also use for equipped lifting. Specifically, I use this to warm up between going from raw to going into a shirt, because you shouldn't have your bench shirt on immediately just with the bar, but you also shouldn't just go immediately from your raw lifting straight to your shirted lifting. A bench slingshot, or whatever the other companies call them. I know one calls it a Widowmaker, one calls it a bench slayer. Those are a great tool to transition from going from, say, a heavy 365 raw, like a 365 warm-up raw, to a 405 warm-up in a slingshot, to a 455 bench in a shirt. That can be a good transition. Not that those are my numbers. I still haven't benched 315 yet. But the first thing I use for my powerlifting, for my equipped lifting, and this is a recommendation from some people I've worked with, are some spray bottles. I recommend these if you're ever getting into shirts or suits, as this will prolong the life of your shirt and your suit. You just get it a little bit wet before you train, and you occasionally spray it a little more. This just keeps the fibers intact and prevents tearing. But now we're going to be going into the shirts and suits themselves. Starting off, we're going to be doing what I use for squats. These are called the Inzer Power Pants. These are what are called squat briefs. So if you look at the crotch area and the buttocks area, there's a lot of double cross stitching. What this does is it makes it so it's very hard to push against in the squat itself. I've used these a couple of times so far, and it really does stop you from wanting your hips to crease when you're going down to the squat position. These ones are sized in what are called true to training size, where it's not hard to get them on, but it can be a little bit of a struggle. If you're going to be going into competition and using these, which I don't really recommend, if you're going to wear briefs in competition, I recommend the Predator briefs. That's what I'm actually going to be ordering soon. I'd recommend getting those just because those are a bit of a thicker material and they're still single ply. Plus, it's a lot more durable, as I've used these 2 or 3 times and I'm already noticing that some of the stitching is starting to wear a little bit, even though I'm using the spray bottles. So I'd recommend the Predator briefs over the Power Pants, although the Power Pants are a good starter because I want to say they're only $40, while the Predator briefs are about $158. Moving on from the Power Pants, we're going to be going to my squat suits. This is a single ply TRX squat suit from Inzer Advanced Designs. When it comes to lifting equipment suits, personally, I'm probably going to be doing Inzer for a little bit, just because of the fact that they've been around for the longest time. Most of their equipment is tried and true by the majority of lifters. There have been some people who state that some of their equipment has gone downhill in recent times, but I'll be the tester of that in my personal opinion. So far, I can totally attest that the squat suit itself works great. I've used this a couple of times in training session, both with straps up and straps down. I've had no complaints from it so far. The material is very thick, and it's a very great single ply suit. I'm very glad I picked this one first, because apparently sometimes you can pick the wrong suit with Inzer, which is why I've made the video series, How to Navigate the Inzer Website. Excuse me. No harm, no foul to Inzer, but every piece of equipment they have ever made overall is on their website. So it can be a little bit difficult to navigate it, which is why I made that little video series. And I am thinking about making a video series for these squat suits once I get a little more experience with using them for multiply and single ply. If you think that's a good idea, make sure to like the video, comment below what questions you have about squat suits or bench shirts or deadlift suits or any piece of equipment from Inzer Advanced Designs, and I'm happy to answer them to the best of my knowledge. And if I don't have the answer, I'll do my best to find the answer through either personal research, emailing Inzer, or talking to some of my mentors, some of whom have actually been sponsored by Inzer in the past, since one of them has worked with Westside Barbell. Moving on from there, we're going to be going over my bench shirt. So I have 2 bench shirts, one of which I got from Inzer Advanced Designs himself, and the other is from Titan. This one I bought from a friend of mine, which if you're ever looking into getting into equipped lifting, I highly recommend. Don't buy straight from the website. Get some equipment from, if you have friends, if you have training partners, if you have mentors at your gym, I'd recommend getting some stuff there if possible. Or you can find used equipment on Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Craigslist, or just powerlifting forums. You can get some good equipment through there. I do recommend buying equipment used first, just to see if you like it at all, because this stuff can really be expensive. For example, this bench shirt, which is a single ply denim shirt, which is actually, from what I've been told, one of the worst shirts you can buy. No offense to Inzer, their shirts are good. It's just this material you want to get either in a 2-ply or 3-ply, not in a single ply, because of the fact that the material is very prone to tearing and blowing out. I wish I knew that before I got it. Had I spoken to the guys I know today, I definitely would have not gotten this. But I chose to buy new from the Inzer website, and I have this shirt, and I train with it, and I'm waiting for the day it blows out on me, which I hope won't be soon. Moving on from there, we have a shirt that I will be using in competition, and I'm excited to, mostly because this shirt is notorious for having some of the most supportive equipment out there, plus it was actually used to break the world record bench press of all time in multi-ply and single ply. Not unlimited, that's a whole other discussion, but the guy, Jimmy Cole, broke it in a Inzer Super Katana, a single ply material shirt that's actually made of the same material as the TRX squat suit I have. The material itself is actually very tough. It's got a reinforced collar, so if I load it properly right here around my chest, and I get the sleeves set around my arms, I can actually get a lot of give out of this once I learn it. The thing is, though, I just got to make sure to do it right. Otherwise, I do run the risk of getting crushed by a barbell. But let's hope that doesn't happen anytime soon. Next up, going to be going over my singlets. So a singlet is one of the single most important things a powerlifter needs, because you can go to a powerlifting meet without a belt. You can go to a powerlifting meet without wraps. You can go to a powerlifting meet without sleeves. My first ever meet ever was actually bare knee, no wrist straps, no wrist straps for anything. The only thing I had was my singlet and my belt. But that you do need a singlet, because in most feds, they will not allow you to compete without a singlet and without a t-shirt that's one material, because of the fact that they need to be able to see where your body is when it comes to the bench and when it comes to the squat, so they can make sure you're doing proper technique. So the first singlet I have is a basic wrestling singlet from Overkill Strength. I got this because I was really curious and wanted to represent Overkill as soon as I can. When it comes to equipment, I love Overkill stuff. The only thing is, since this one guy, all the material is custom made, and I don't think I'm at that level where I need to order custom made bench shirts and squat suits. But the singlet itself is really great material. Highly recommended if you go to the website. Next up is actually on the front pocket. I have, this is actually a singlet that I don't ever plan on competing in, but it is a singlet that I just have for the sake of it. This is an old wrestling singlet that I did actually use when I first started training. I didn't use this in competition, as I was told by a buddy of mine it wouldn't have been allowed, even though looking back it was and would have been, but I was in a very strict gym that I guess just wanted me to wear their own stuff. Anyways, in my gym bag itself, I have a few more other singlets. This is another wrestling singlet I have, but it looks a little bit less like a wrestling singlet, so I still use it for competition sometimes. My other singlets I have are currently in my dresser, because when I get ready for competition, I don't want the singlet I'm going to compete in my gym bag. I want it in my bedroom. That way I can get dressed with it before I go to the competition, and I don't have to stress about finding a bathroom, porta-john, or getting undressed in front of people to put on that. The thing I do have, though, in my gym bag, just in case, are the things that no one ever prepares for, and I was never told about this until I read the rule book of USPA and USAPL myself. Underwear. So for those of you who don't know, in powerlifting, you are not allowed to wear boxer briefs or boxers. You have to wear briefs, which in some cases means tighty whities, or you have to go commando. At one of my competitions I totally forgot about that, and I drove all the way out to Vegas, and I completely forgot that I needed that type of underwear. I didn't have it, so guess who drove to Walmart 10 o'clock at night, had to buy a 6-pack of tighty whities. I did that, so now I have tighty whities just sitting in my gym bag, ready to go. And we're gonna keep pace on that same pocket. The last two things I have in there. These are two things that I carry on me at all times, just in the event that I need to do some emergency repairs, either on my equipment, on my bag, or on my suits. First thing is a screwdriver. For those of you who use old school belts that you have to change the buckle for, I always carry this just in case. I don't need to use it anymore, but plenty of the guys at my gym do, and I'm kind of known as the guy who has everything in my gym bag. Wonder why? So I always carry this on me. And secondly, this one I don't really carry. This one I carry is a little lighter. I used to carry this because, I'll admit, I used to be a smoker, but I have since quit, no longer do. The reason I carry it with me now is just in the event that I have fraying of certain materials, whether it's on my wrist wraps or anything like that. I just carry it to singe it, so it's pretty convenient in that case. Moving on to this pocket, I have my ammonia salts and my normal salts. these are electrolyte tablets, and I just use these to prevent myself from getting low electrolytes when training, because sometimes when I'm training, I do sweat a lot. So at the end, I'll take these just to prevent cramping at the end of the workout. I have measuring tape. This is used to measure myself for all my equipment needs. Sometimes it was originally used to measure my biceps, and I also was a personal trainer, so that was where I originally got this. But nowadays, I use it to get my exact measurements so I can measure out my suits when I'm ordering them, because nowadays I've used enough of my suits to where if I do order them from Inzer or Overkill, I will need to get some exact measurements to get proper equipment. Moving on from there, I have my balls. Just kidding. So I have these as pieces of equipment that I use to get knots out of my back, butt, legs, arms, sometimes even my traps. I have these in differing levels of thickness. So I have this in a very soft, kind of squishy baseball. I actually got this from a doggy daycare I used to work at. And I found that it's soft enough to where it can actually get a little bit of stuff out of me, but it's not going to be too rough. Next up, I have a lacrosse ball. I actually highly recommend these for all physical therapists or people in general who just train. So always have one on you because it really helps getting knots out of my neck and my back. And lastly, this is just because I've started getting really, really, really bad knots. I carry a baseball in with me just because I do enjoy getting a little bit of pain from it. Not actually. All right. Next. Oh, wow. Almost forgot. Another singlet from Inzer Advanced Designs. Sorry this video is taking so long. Another thing too that I carry, just because, and sometimes it'd be cold, and also because I have longer hair, I carry a beanie. I actually have several beanies in here and several more in my car. These are just because of the fact that when you have longer hair, sometimes your hair is going to get caught in the equipment, so it's better to just carry a beanie on you. That way you're not getting anything caught. Moving on from there, I have my lifting straps in multiple forms, actually. So I have my leather figure 6s, my normal figure 8s, and I also have my Versa grips. When it comes to the equipment itself, I'm not really going to go too deeply into detail, but I will say I find my space and time for all three types of these. But personally, I enjoy using my figure 8s the most. I actually got these from a friend of mine. He left this at an old gym we used to train at, and I saw them in the Lost and Found, so I DM'd him saying, hey, I think you left your figure 8 wraps. Do you want me to grab them for you? That way someone else doesn't take them. And he goes, yeah, sure. I grab them, and I ran into it a few more times saying, hey, bro, you can have these back. He goes, actually, I don't really need them, so you can just keep them. So I kept them. They're Gym Reapers. Personally, not a big fan of the company Gym Reaper themselves, but hey, I'll take a free pair of figure 8s whenever I can. Next up on the list, after clearing out a few more tubs of pre and a few more cans and water bottles, we're going into some of the stuff, going into something that can be very important, and that is my diary. Just kidding, it's my training journal. I've noticed that when I train, I'll sometimes get really distracted on my phone, which can keep me in the gym for a while. So what I've actually done in a few cases is I'll write out my workout in my training journal, and then I'll actually make sure to train it as best I can without looking at my phone, which has worked in some cases, in other cases not so worked. I need to start using it again, just because I haven't been for a little bit, but we'll see what happens. Next up, another piece of important equipment, and this one is the thing that most people miss when they go to powerlifting meets, save for the underwear, are deadlift socks. So the company I own, On Repeat Sports, actually sells custom-made deadlift socks that we make called the Iron Chaos socks. If you want these, check the link in bio at the On Repeat Sports link. I highly recommend these to anyone because you are not allowed to deadlift without your deadlift socks. Following up with that, after clearing yet another can of energy drinks, normal pair of gym socks. This is just in the event that I'm training and say I need to go straight to the gym and I maybe don't have shoes because I do sometimes just wear sandals. If I need to, I carry just a regular pair of gym socks, or if I'm, say, going to a meet and I really need a new pair of socks or something, I'll just use these. All right, we're almost done, I promise. I have a few more interesting things. This is a little carry cap I use that has pre-workout powder in it. At least I hope this is pre-workout. I actually have no clue what's in here. Should probably dump this. But you can just put little powders at the bottom, and then you can just pour it straight into your water bottle during your workout. Lastly, or not lastly, I have a lot of bands because I'm an equipped lifter, so I use these myself to help with overcoming eccentrics, warming up, making sure my joints are fine, and using these to transition to the next piece of equipment I have. I have these in multiple forms of tightness. I have my seat belt. So this is actually used for my leg extension machines and a few other pieces of equipment where I really need to stay seated, say if it's for dips, the dip machine or the quad extension machine or the hamstring curl machine. These I can wrap around the machine itself, buckle myself in. I am locked in place and I can go as hard as I can with as much weight I can. We sell these at onrepeatsports.com. If you want the discount code, you can use Max Squats for 10% off. We're going to be going over a few other pieces of gym equipment. A little more trash. This gym towel. Be respectful. Clean up your sweat. Lastly, we're going to go over some other stuff that probably should have gone over this originally. But on my other side pocket, I've got my gym shoes. These are the Witten Cross Trainers. They're a very good cheap shoe that I only paid I think $40 for these. They're wide toe, grippy bottom if they're fresh, and they can be very useful for a long time. And even though they're half the price of most expensive barefoot shoes. Following up with that from another company, Witten. These are actually, funny enough, the Witten restaurant shoes. So I don't think I've ever mentioned this, but I work at a bar part-time along with working at the supplement shop, and I use these at the restaurant I work at. I saw that they feel very comfortable barefoot because they're wide toe box, but the bottom is very grippy. So I realized if I use these to bench, I don't have to use carpet underneath my feet when I go to a gym like some people do. So I realized when I bench with these, my feet don't slip, so that's why I have 2 pairs of bench shoes in my gym bag. I'm also ordering another pair of gym shoes to replace the cross trainers, just because of the fact that I like high top shoes, and I found a company that makes Vans style shoes in the wide toe version, and I'm excited to show those off soon. I also carry a pair of Dr. Scholl's odor fighting because, no offense to Witten, this is more me problem. I sweat a lot, and my shoes, in one case or another, got very sweaty while training, and they smelled atrocious the next workout. So what I do when I'm training, I just take a quick spritz, spray it in the sole, and it'll smell fresh by the next time and be dry. All right, last piece. This is all just stuff I carry from because I'm the co-owner of On Repeat Sports, and that is the equipment we sell there. So I got a few straps and handles that I really enjoy using. These are the ergonomic grip handles that I use for tricep pushdowns and face pulls. Really enjoy these. This is the extra long rope. I use these for face pulls, some forms of tricep pushdowns, lat pull downs, and something called cable pull throughs that is a hip exercise. I've officially cleared out the inside of the bag. On the opposite side, I have the gym pin machine extenders. These are used for any type of barbell machinery that you can just stick on the side of and add more plates to. I actually have a few videos of me using those. Next up, I have the standard size gym pin and mini size min pin. Both these are really great if you're using cable-based weight stack machines. You can just stick it in the side, add a plate to it, and now suddenly you're not limited to what the weight stack is. I've used these in a couple of cases, but I don't use these often just because the way my coach has me do my rep work, I don't really need to max out the machines quite yet. Next up, this is actually the strap that originally came with the bag. I need to toss this because while it was a good bag, it is not a bag that was meant for the amount of weight I put in here. So the strap actually broke about 2 weeks into me using it. So I'm going to toss this. Next up, though, is another piece of equipment we sell at On Repeat Sports. It's the tri-grips. This is a very great, simple to use piece of equipment that you can use for several different exercises, similar to the ropes or ergonomics, but it has several different grips when you use it. So if you're looking for something that's easy to carry in your gym bag, I recommend these. Lastly, totally forgot I had these. These are the Gas elbow cuffs. They're very similar to elbow wraps or elbow sleeves. Don't personally use them anymore. Not even sure if they fit me, to be entirely honest, but I did enjoy using these for my shoulder days back in the day, and I may continue to use them if they fit me. Almost last up are my fat grips. These are made for just having an increased amount of overall circumference on your dumbbells or barbells. I personally recommend these if you're dealing with elbow issues or if you're trying to work on your grip. I personally use these on what's called my fluff and buff day, which is which is just the day I do my secondary exercises like shoulder press, strict curl, and certain shoulder and full body accessories to just help with leaning down and building up some muscle, as well as just working on what's kind of hurting throughout that week. Last, but certainly not least, are my Angles 90 grips. So these can be used for several other things. There's plenty of videos on Repeat Sports website me using them, but essentially they're just grips you can use for pulling, doing pull-ups, doing tricep pushdowns, or you can actually adjust them to where they have a similar grip to gymnastics rings. This is what I personally enjoy using them for. I highly recommend buying them if you want to. We have them on Repeat Sports as well. Again, max squats, 10% off. But that is just about it that I have in this giant gym bag of mine. So much is in here. I got some medical tape, but I'm not really going to count that. So much is in here, and I'm super glad to have gone through it and emptied it out, be able to clear it, and just kind of remember all that happened here. Now, if you have any questions on what I carry in here, got any recommendations on maybe bigger or more durable bags, go ahead and comment down below. If you have any questions about powerlifting, I'm always happy to answer them. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe at the bottom. Have a wonderful night.